Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar, How to Use Data to Activate Personalization and Enhance Loyalty. My name is Karina, and I'm your host. I hope you're all excited for this webinar as we are, because today we're joined by experts from StayNTouch, HMA, and the GuestBook. Our speakers are skilled in converting guests into loyal visitors by heightening and personalizing their experience. So join me in welcoming Rick here. Rick is a strategic marketing professional who delivers a tried and proven formula for hotel management companies that contains the methodology and tools required to develop, implement, and sustain a successful CRM program. Dev Dougal is the director of sales at the GuestBook. Dev is a hotelier that has worked in every facet of the hotel operation. He has led marketing strategy for several large boutiques, brands that has helped put a dent into those pesky OTA commissions. And now, finally, Justin DeRees. He's a content and customer marketing specialist at StayNTouch and is committed to helping hoteliers strategize on ways to combine technology and human support to personalize guest experiences and enhance operations. Our speakers will teach you techniques that top hoteliers are using to boost guest loyalty and go over proven tips and strategies that have increased hotel revenue and lowered marketing costs. In this webinar, you'll learn how to create highly personalized conversation via automated campaigns, leverage guest desires for cashback to increase direct bookings and loyalty, and maximize gathered data to supply guest demands and interest throughout the guest journey. At the end of this presentation, we'll have a Q&A session. So use this opportunity to ask as many questions as you can for these experts via the chat box. All questions will be answered in order that they were received at the end of this presentation, so stay tuned. So let's first start off with Rick. Rick, can you tell us a bit more of how you can create highly personalized email communications?
I sure can, if you go on to the next slide. First of all, when we're talking about personalization, we need to be clear, we're not talking about putting a person's name in a mass email blast. I don't think anyone who's ever received one has thought it was personalized to them and really spoke to them as an individual. And very often, particularly in the hotel industry, the name that's on the record is not necessarily matching the email, because the email tends to be who actually wanted the email confirmation. So if you're like me, you've received emails where it's made out to one person, but I'm the one who receives it. It's really more, when we're talking personalization, it's about tailoring the message and the imagery to the specific recipient in a way that enhances their experience with you and speaks to them with what their interests are. Next. At a property, data comes from many sources. Perhaps the most important is the property management system itself. While it tends to have a lot of junk in it, it is also a wealth of information. You know what they're spending money on, you know when they come, the channels are coming through, and so forth. Next. But beyond guest history, there's also web opt-in forms, and unfortunately, so many people with their web opt-in forms only ask for an email address and nothing more. People will fill in additional information on themselves. The key is just don't make it mandatory, and you will not have the fall off. But you need to be able to target what you're doing. And you can also add a wealth of information from third-party sources by appending demographic and lifestyle information. So you can get a much clearer picture of who your customers are and also who you wish to be targeting for what the specific promotion is. Next. And at the beginning of it, campaigns should be based on achieving a specific goal. I mean, so often we see people are going, the goal is just to move rooms. It really needs to go beyond that. You should have specific goals you're trying to achieve, such as driving ADR over a specific time frame, increasing repeat rates, Sunday night stays, converting OTA guests to direct booking, rewarding your most valuable guests. They're all very good goals. You can't do them all in a single email to a past guest or even a target. You really need to decide who are the best potential people for each of those and target your message and your images to them. For example, with setting the target, who bought what you're going to promote in that before? And for those folks, what was their interest and what was their booking pattern to determine what time of day they booked and who to receive it. The messaging should tie in key copy points and images that would appeal to that target. And at the end of the day, you need to be tracking each and every one, and ideally back against bookings in the future. So let's say your goal was to increase ADR. The target would be who's a big spender whose combination of average spend per night or household income meets a certain rate of people who have been buying at that ADR that you wish to be at. And then really, you don't want to be discounting to your best spenders. If your goal is to grow average daily rate, you're not going to do that by promoting a discount offer, do a value add, or other things that will appeal to the lifestyle and demographics of that spender. And then the message and the images need to tie as well. So often you'll end up seeing an email going out to folks who are in their 30s to 40s, and the image is of someone in their 60s. The images need to speak to the individual who's receiving it, as does the message. And in particular, have they visited during the time of year you wish to promote? If they've never been to your destination at that time of year, they don't know what it's like. So you need to introduce it to them. Next. The other thing, next thing is really, was that campaign successful? If it is this a recurring need? And if so, does the email need to be regularly changed? And does the target vary by type of year? Based off of these considerations, you can really decide, can that be a leveraged promotion or not, or an automated promotion as well?
Okay, so just a quick question, Rick. In terms of, I understand like this is all focused in email and really targeting your customers, but if there are only a few resources to focus on, one or two segments, which would you recommend?
I think every property has guests who produce the most for them in the way of rate or value. And really, value should be based off of the total spend per night, not just room rate. And targeting those folks and not discounting to those folks. If a person's always bought rack, they should only be seeing rates accordingly. If someone's been only buying discount, don't send them a promotion that's designed to try to sell things at rack rate or higher. So really segmenting big spenders from value seekers would really be should be the top of anyone's list.
Okay, so just on that topic of big spenders, because I understand that there are people who do like to spend big, however, they also like to save big. So, Deb, how can you tell us a bit more about really leveraging the right loyalty model that allows people to want to continue or return back to hotels because they have this greater incentive of putting money back into their pockets?
Yeah, thanks, Karina. Appreciate it. And great job, Rick. Love hearing and being right on point on the segmentation of how to do that marketing strategy. So great points there, Rick. Absolutely. But Karina, we at the GuestBook have taken a lot of time to review data, and obviously data speaks. And so we've looked at trends and analysis and have really come up with what we believe is the magic formula in what guests are looking for, and that will help hotels drive those direct bookings, put a dent in those pesky OTA commissions, and really just drive and capture some loyalty. So as we move forward here on the next slide, what we should really do is let's start off with some of the good news. Hoteliers are slowly winning the battle. And after years of ceding ground to the online giants, hotel direct bookings are now slightly outpacing OTA bookings, according to Focusrite data. And last year, direct bookings accounted for around 49% of US hotel and lodging online gross bookings versus OTAs at 51%. And by 2022, it's actually predicted that online direct bookings are on track to grow to a 50% share. So that's amazing news for our industry. And why is that happening? Well, it's simple. People prefer rewards over discounts, and they love cash back. Today, we'll talk about the evolution of cashback rewards and why people are choosing cashback and how you can supercharge your booking engine with the power of cashback. The turnaround we mentioned earlier follows a period of intense investment for major hotel companies that have encouraged customers to book direct by beefing up loyalty programs and launching aggressive marketing campaigns. So a survey conducted by RetailMeNot and Google revealed attitudes and preferences from over 1,000 US consumers. And it showed that nearly half would make a purchase when combined with the cashback offer. And this is becoming normal behavior. And 20% of shoppers said they made a purchase or spent more than they planned to because of the cashback offer. And on another survey, this time from the US News reward credit card holders, it revealed that cashback is the most popular credit card reward with the highest number of respondents. 43% said they had signed up for the card to receive cash back, followed by travel rewards at 23%. In fact, rebates or cash back are the most valued loyalty program reward in both Canada and the US, 55 versus 48% respectively. And product discounts and free products come in second and third, according to a Nielsen Global Loyalty Sentiment Survey. And don't think this is a middle class phenomenon, folks. Rich people want cash back too. 60% of credit card holders with investable assets of $100,000 or more say cash back is their favorite credit card perk, according to creditcards.com survey. Just 22% said they preferred frequent flyer miles. And cashback was the top rated perk among even the wealthiest Americans. 53% of those with investable assets of over 500,000 or more said they prefer cash back. So are you ready to leverage the power of cash back to increase direct bookings like these hotels have to increase relevancy for your audience? That's exactly what the GuestBook does. We supercharge your booking engine with the power of cashback rewards. So if you'd like to learn more, feel free to reach out to the GuestBook, and we're happy to share what cashback can do to help increase those direct bookings.
All right, awesome. Great presentation. But I did want to hit on something that has been buzzing around the industry. In terms of meta search, I know it's a very hot topic these days. How can hoteliers leverage loyalty programs to support driving direct bookings on Google, for example?
Yeah, great question, Karina. Meta search is all the buzz right now, and for all the right reasons. As we know, a few years ago, Google made the transition and started investing into travel, and they are the giant in the industry that has a lot of spare money to spend. And so as hotels are gravitating towards finding the right strategies with working with partners like Rick and us and their teams, we are finding hotels that are kind of lost in and can't find their way and navigate. And what we've seen is on the meta search side, not only are hotels starting to invest more dollars and resources towards meta, even the OTAs now are becoming more aggressive in meta, where they are dynamically undercutting a hotel on the meta search side. So in order for a hotel to have a one-up, in order for a hotel to really drive that traffic where 80% of all searches are going to start on Google, and the meta plays a very important role, one thing the GuestBook has done has really leveraged the call out right underneath the official hotel site listing in meta, where we can say earn 15% cash rewards by booking direct. So when you're in rate parity, when you have a value proposition that includes loyalty or a cashback benefit in this scenario, we can really drive that traffic right back into the hotel's direct booking engine, which really gives them a fighting chance to earn that direct book business. So great question, Karina.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so Justin, I guess you can tell us a little bit more. How can we leverage data internally?
Indeed. Thank you, Karina. So Rick already spoke a bit about the data analytics function of a PMS. So the PMS is really your central hub for data collection. It sits at the center of your tech ecosystem. It's a great point to consolidate all of your guest profile information, including your stay information, revenue information, data about preferences and things like that. It can then push this data out to your CRM or to your direct messaging program to develop a more personalized, more customized marketing approach. I'm not going to focus on this so much, however, because a mobile PMS can do a lot more than just consolidate data. Consolidating data is incredibly important. You can't have personalization without it, but there's a lot of other things that a mobile PMS can do. Quite literally, a mobile-enabled PMS is the remote control that allows your guests to control the parameters of their stay, the parameters of their guest journey. So really in this segment, what I'm going to look at is personalization in practice, and sort of look at the concept of taking personalization on a more holistic approach and sort of full spectrum personalization. We can see this in a number of different sections. In the first two bullet points here, we're looking at empowering guests. So we're going to give them more options at check-in and check-out. We're also going to nurture them throughout their stay with targeted upsell and amenity offers. In the third point, we're really looking at empowering staff, right? Giving your staff the tools so that they can personalize their interactions with your guests. In the fourth bullet point, we're looking at laying the foundation for a more personalized experience. If you want to have a finely tuned sort of guest journey that's customized to each individual guest, you're going to have a finely tuned back of the house. And a mobile PMS certainly allows you to do that, and certainly increases the efficiency and the productivity of your back of the house staff. Finally, we're actually going to look at the PMS's effect on the physical space of your hotel. One of the key value props for a mobile PMS is that it allows you to get rid of that bulky front desk. And this really frees up your lobby to do a lot of really cool things that can help your brand and also personalize the experience for your guests. Okay, so more options at check-in and check-out, right? This is something right off the bat that you can give your guests so that they can tailor their travels to their own needs. So mobile PMS gives the guest a number of choices at check-in. So they can check in directly through their mobile phone. They can check in through a smart kiosk, not too dissimilar from the kiosks you see in the airports. You can also check in a more traditional way through a friendly assistant that is aided by a mobile tablet. So you're going to see some immediate benefits here. First is you're going to maintain a seamless transition from your mobile web experience. Now, we're actually going to be doing a webinar on capturing direct bookings in a few weeks. But one of the keys to capturing direct bookings away from your OTAs is to have a mobile-first web experience that is seamless once you move to the booking phase. And it's just a natural extension then once you've planned your trip, once you've actually booked the stay. You're going to want to be able to check into your room, to pay, and then also provide your ID and maybe even receive your room key through your mobile device. And you can do all of that through a mobile PMS. Second immediate benefit is you're going to have shorter or no lines at check-in. Nobody wants to wait in line for 20 minutes after you've been on an 8-hour flight. You're also going to have late checkout options. I really like this. I know the last night of any vacation I have, I'm going to be staying out pretty late, and I'm definitely not going to want to get up early so I can meet an arbitrary checkout time. With a mobile PMS, I can go on my mobile phone and just select the checkout time that I want, and you can even monetize this, so you can gain some revenue while also improving the guest experience. The final immediate benefit is the ability to have instant room upgrades and instant amenities. Again, think of your mobile device as a remote control for your guest journey. If I want room service, if I want champagne and chocolates, if I want to book the king suite at the last minute, I can do that with a push of a button. Mobile lets you continually nurture your guests. And Rick spoke about this a little bit as well. With a mobile PMS, you can send automated targeted messages to your guests based on comprehensive data about their preferences and habits. Guests aren't sort of, so okay, I guess if you look at the sort of the traditional upsell model, right? Where you go up to the front desk, you've just finished this pretty lengthy check-in process, and then the front desk agent asks, hey, do you want to basically supersize your room? This format is not really optimized for upsells, and it's certainly not optimized for enhancing the guest experience. If you upsell through a mobile device, your guests don't feel cornered. They can see vibrant pictures of the different amenities or different room offerings you have. It's not just someone describing it. And of course, they don't have to haggle with a staff member, which, I mean, I know I don't like doing that. And mobile nurturing works. So these are just a couple of statistics, but you can sort of find a lot more if you do a Google search. So 73% of business travelers prefer mobile check-in. Again, I know if I was on a long flight and I had a meeting and I just wanted to quickly check in my room, get a shower, and then go about my business, I would certainly want the convenience of a mobile check-in. 74% of Americans are willing to pay more for flexible check-in and check-out times. This goes back to this notion of enhancing the guest journey while also enhancing your bottom line. Finally, we look at the conversion rates. This is from Mashable. So with targeted mobile upsell ads, you get a 5 to 20% conversion rate. If you look at an average hotel, this can add up to $65,000 a year. So that's not nothing. So let's move from the guest to the staff. And how does a mobile PMS empower your staff to offer a more personalized experience for your guests? Well, so we mentioned before about the traditional check-in experience, right? Where you have a front desk agent, they're separated from their desk by they're separated from their guests by a large front desk. And really, they're mired in this arcane check-in process, right? So the whole interaction is really based around getting through the check-in process and not really responding to guest needs. And this is actually the opposite of what you want to do if you want a personalized experience. Personalization is all about guest engagement. It's guest engagement that fuels those conversions, that gets the guest to upgrade to the King's Suite, and ultimately gets the guest to come back to your hotel and then offer a good review on social media. Fostering engagement comes down to having staff that are empathetic, having staff that are responsive, and that can be creative. And again, none of this can happen if you're separated from your guests by a giant front desk and you have your nose in your computer trying to work through an arcane process. A mobile PMS allows you to meet your guests wherever they are in the hotel, whether that's in the lobby, it could be in the hall, it could be in a lounge area. And because the user interface of a mobile PMS is so much simpler than a traditional PMS, you're not spending time buried in your screen. You can actually interact with your guests. Things like eye contact, subtle emotional cues, these are really important to fostering guest engagement and to get them to write those good reviews. Again, empower your staff to engage with guests. You want to give them mobility, you want to give them communication, and you want to give them responsiveness. So one of the great things about a mobile PMS is it gives, it allows any staff member essentially can access your entire PMS. So let's say if you have someone in accounts receivable, they're walking down the hallway and a guest needs towels, right? They can go into the PMS, send an order to housekeeping, and get the guest towels. Really, this is empowering everybody on your staff to help your guests whenever they might need it. So mobile lays the foundation for personalization. The next slide is actually going to deal with back of the house efficiencies, but I do want to touch on the data aspect for one more second. A big problem with hotels is how do we actually get guest data, right? How do we get those email addresses? How do we get guest preference data that then we can use to send these targeted messaging? Well, the way you do it is give them a reason to give you your email. I think a great reason would be offering early check-in or late checkout. If I know that, if I have a, let's say, if my flight arrives early and I have 6 hours with nothing to do, an early check-in function becomes very valuable. If I want to sleep in a little bit on the last day of my trip, again, the late checkout function becomes really valuable. Aria actually implemented a mobile PMS solution, and they have a pretty high traffic environments. They're looking at over 1,200 arrivals a day. They were able to capture almost 40% of those guests using the mobile check-in option. Again, this gives your guests an incentive to give you their data. Okay, so you can't run a hyper-personalized hotel without a hyper-efficient back of the house. Remember, if you're sort of tailoring each guest experience, your back of the house kind of needs to run in overdrive, and a mobile PMS lets you do that. And the way it lets you do that is through enhanced communications. So everyone who has access to your PMS, or all staff that has access to your PMS, can see the status of rooms instantly, and they can instantly send requests to housekeeping or maintenance or other staff members. The result of this is really tangible. You can have a 20% increase in housekeeping productivity. You're getting rid of the walkie-talkies and the paper and pencil checklists. Everything can be done in the tablet, and then you can optimize your staff. So again, they're turning over their rooms a lot quicker. You can eliminate 80% of calls made to the front office, and I think most importantly, from the standpoint of your guests, you don't have any more awkward knocking at 6 in the morning because a staff member thought that a room was empty when in fact it was occupied. And of course, here's the bonus that ties back to the guest experience and into revenue. If you have a higher room turnover rate, that means you have more rooms open for early checkout, for early check-in or late checkout. So this ties into revenue as well. Okay, so looking into the actual physical space, and this, sort of ties in with your branding as well as personalization. But for really decades, the hotel lobby was just an administrative space, right? It was a big empty space. Maybe they have a couple of couches and tables. You have the giant front desk in the front, and this is just where people wait to check into the hotel. If you get rid of if you get rid of the front desk, however, you can do so many different things with your lobby. Things like having lounges, quick serve restaurants, co-working spaces are becoming very popular. In one hotel, Zoku Amsterdam, they sort of offered a kind of a home office hybrid apartment. So this has the option of being more of an extended stay. And they view their lobby as almost a communal living space rather than just an administrative space. If you look up Blow Up Hall, this is actually a hotel in Poland, and they transformed their lobby into an interactive art exhibit. If you look at Under Canvas, they did away with a lobby entirely. They're actually a glamping property. So you stay in really high quality, luxurious tents, and staff can literally walk the tablet up to your tent and process any requests that you might have. So again, this is just an option. Instead of being confined to having a lobby that's just about the administrative process of checking people in, now you can tailor it to your brand, and you can even offer different options so your guests have a choice when they arrive. Do they want to catch up on some emails, catch up on some work? Do they want to go have a drink? Do they want to have a light lunch? Do they want to view an art exhibit or go on a hike? The possibilities are endless. And that's all I got.
Well, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Karina.
You're welcome for your presentation. I do want to hit on something really quick.
Sure.
So is there such thing as too much upselling? Because I know this is something that a lot of people talk about. It's a great revenue generator. It allows the guests, as you said, to make the decision without feeling pressured. But there's also this sense that hotels don't want to become like airlines. What can you say about that?
Well, they certainly don't. And, if you upsell the wrong way, certainly it can be intrusive. The whole point of a mobile PMS, however, is that you can upsell in ways that actually enhance the guest journey. Really, you should be focusing on enhancing that guest experience first, and then the revenue will follow. Now, the plus side is that a mobile PMS, combined with other tech platforms, a CRS, for example, CMS, for example, or CRM, for example, will let you build the guest profiles that will allow you to make those smart upselling decisions. It will allow you to basically tailor your packages, tailor your offerings so that they are actually relevant to your guest and they are more likely to hit that buy button.
Okay, great. So in other words, like a lot of the data that we gather in the PMS is definitely something we can use to push in email campaigns.
Yep.
So Rick, if you can just hit on your great takeaway, tell us a bit more of how we can use that data for these email campaigns. That'd be really great to connect it back.
Well, I think the first thing is you have to be able to access that data in a way that gives you as much information as possible, and really get away from the mindset of one size fits all. Really, you need to be looking at your guests as individuals, or at least groups of individuals with similar interests. And personalization is critical to that. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the quality of the data you have to work with. So whether it's through the mobile PMS or other things, you need to have a strategy of how you're going to get complete information on individuals. How are you going to get their emails? How are you going to get their physical addresses so you know where they actually reside and where they're coming from, so you're not sending last-minute campaigns out to folks who would have to take a 10-hour plane ride to get there.
Okay, great. And how about you, Dev? Can you tell us back to this personalization and utilization of data for these cash rewards? Is there any way it can connect to email marketing? Can you tell us more?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's absolutely. So one of the things that GuestBook has the ability to do, so just to go back just a little bit, when we do offer the power of cash back and supercharge the booking engine, we give the guest 3 options, which is like 5% cash back via PayPal or gift card, or take that 5% and donate it to any charity or cause of their choice. And the third is 15% towards an experience, whether it's future stay or on property. And so one of the things that we do is we have the ability to dynamically add content within the CRM toolset or the email marketing campaign on pre-arrival. So, hey, Mrs. Smith, look forward to seeing you at the hotel this weekend. The weather's great. By the way, I see you're going to earn some cash rewards. Why don't we give you 3 times the value for drinks at the bar? So we can do that all dynamically on the fly to customize the messaging on the pre-arrival message so the guest can utilize the cash back for an on-property experience. So that's just one example of leveraging email to use the power of cashback to also drive that loyalty.
Okay. And then Destin, if you can tell us more about the holistic approach for gathering the data.
I think, well, I'll touch on one aspect that I didn't really cover. I think there's sort of a false dichotomy between a high touch, service focused approach and then also a high tech approach to the guest experience. With a mobile PMS, you can really get the best of both. The idea here is to is to really have a full spectrum of personalization. You want to empower your guests. They can check in when they want. They can order whatever upgrades or amenities when they want, and also empower your staff. Your staff doesn't want to be stuck behind a front desk. They don't want to be buried into a computer screen. They want to be interacting with their guests, and they want to find out what their guests' needs are and how they can make their guests' trip as good as it can be. And a mobile PMS allows them to do that.
Great. So now we're going to open up the audience Q&A. So if you have been sending any questions or have any questions you'd like to ask, now would be a great opportunity to do so. We'll be asking questions based on the order they were received. So I actually have one question right back to you, Justin, which is perfect. But so one of the guest questions says that my property prides itself on exceptional personalized experiences. Would utilizing a mobile PMS be depersonalizing the experience for our guest?
Again, not at all. It can actually enhance the personalized experience. Remember, this is allowing your staff to really establish the emotional connections with your guests that drive guest engagement. This is empowering your staff to meet the guests wherever they are at the hotel and instantly process their requests. So no, quite the opposite.
Okay. So, and this is actually coming in for you, Rick. What can we do on a property to collect more data on our guests?
I think first of all is work within the constraints you have at the property. If you are still doing a typical front desk where you have a reg card, simply having the front desk agent prompt the person, can we make sure we have your information, your name, address, and email correct? Offering the ability to email their receipt at checkout to them as another way of collecting emails. If you don't and you're going with a paperless or a full mobile solution, as Justin indicated, you have to get more creative. You have to think of other steps along the way of how can we capture that information and where are we going to be putting it so that it's immediately tied back to their reservation. Because the thing you have to remember is on all your OTA bookings, you're not getting direct contact information for that individual. So no matter what, you're going to have a strategy in place to collect that info so you can talk to those folks and have them come direct the next time. But working with someone who has experience in helping do these different things or other aspects, but working within the constraints you have, but have a plan in place and then monitor its implementation and ensure that it's actually being done.
Okay. And someone actually asked a follow-up question to that. Has there been, can you elaborate on some of the experiences that sorry, I'm just trying to reword it. But I guess someone just asked, are there any type of examples you may have of customers from HMA that have been able to gather that data to send, very strong campaigns to specific segments that you can speak on?
Well, we have multiple. That's what we help do for our clients is help them actually do that and implement it for them so they're not having to try to do it all themselves with their limited staff. But we have a couple properties where they are doing, every time they're getting ready to do promotions, they may be doing 4 different variations of it because the information is going to be based on have the guests visited during that time of year. If not, it's going to introduce what's happening in their area at that time of year. If they bring in with other folks on their big spenders, what are the activities occurring within that city or within that market or at the property itself? It's limitless what you can be doing. The key is really to start small and simple to get your feet wet with it first, and then start moving towards getting much more sophisticated to meet very specific goals.
Okay, great. And still related to the email marketing, someone has asked specific to you, Dev, can the GuestBook help me create an email marketing campaign after providing target data?
Yeah, absolutely. And we have integrations with the majority of CRMs already with an API call out, and we can help build creative and custom content that not only just leverages the messaging behind the cashback, but very specific to the segmentation that the hotel wishes to utilize to drive maybe a particular offering to a certain group versus the other. So many examples of what we've done in the past for our hotel clients.
Okay. And what type of data does the GuestBook share with hotels?
Yeah, no, great question. So we're actually very transparent. We realize, again, the importance of data as much as Rick and the team here has been reinforcing. We give enrollments real time to the hotel on a weekly data download. We share information as guest preferences come through the booking process when we're integrated on the CRS. But we leverage all that data, give it right back to the hotel so they can integrate it with their CRM or marketing database to really, really drive more content into their strategy, and then sit right alongside them to help them develop that content if they need that additional push. So we definitely are very transparent with all of our data and help them secure some of that data that they might need that they're missing at the moment to really leverage with guests that are currently coming in and even repeat guests to really, really, really enforce that loyalty.
Okay, awesome. That is perfect. So we'll just wrap up a bit earlier today. I want to say thank you again to all the attendees who have joined us super early and those who are currently at a very late time because you guys aren't located here in the East Coast. But thank you so much for joining. If you have any more following questions you'd like to ask to Rick for HMA or Deb of the GuestBook or us at StayNTouch, feel free to send us an email at info@stayintouch.com. And we will have a video recapping today's webinar as well as our slides that you can view independently, sent out within 24 hours. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much, Rick and Deb.
You're very welcome.